Morning, everyone, and we are getting ready for Blabbing for Britain, and it is Blabbing for Britain. If I just change this, episode 379. Morning, John.
Good morning, Stephen.
I'm going to try this and see what happens. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning.
Okay. Right, we're live today on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on YouTube, and we're just waiting for everybody to get connected. Say good morning to our listeners on Royston Radio. And this week there will be an episode. Fonz, if you're watching, I will send it to you today. Always good. So, in 10 seconds, we can remove the card. 8.
Hello?
Hello, yeah, you're good.
Yeah, in fact, no, I've just got a few things in my head just now. It's pretty hectic. You carry on just now and have a chat until I'm trying to get my friend Chris working.
All right, well, I had that problem. Good morning, everybody. This is Blabbing for Britain, and we're going to go and change things up and go here. And we're good. So an official good morning, John.
Good morning, Stephen.
And I don't know whether to say good morning to Peter or not, because he's not here.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I could hear
you before.
Right, well, okay, right. Cut to the chase. Crisp's not working. I haven't been able to do anything with it, and it's a nightmare because it puts me on a loop. If you're listening, Crisp, I'll be getting rid of you. Okay, end of story.
Okay. Right, okay, so welcome to the show, and this is Blabbing for Britain, episode 379, heading towards the 400. A big party, possibly, who knows? All right, Monday was Boris Day. Do you think we've heard the last of Boris?
No.
No, me neither. He isn't going to disappear quietly.
He'll either know that they've done that to them. Two things he could do. He could maybe form another party with other people, or he can slaughter him in the newspapers once he's really left. He can slaughter his enemies.
But he'd be attacking well, I suppose there is the argument that he's still a member of the Conservative Party, isn't he? So.
Well, they had no qualms about doing it to him, did they?
Right, okay.
I'll tell you what I would love to do. That's just what I'd love to do. I'm not a God-fearing man. I'd love to go down on camera and go around every MP with a Bible and say, look at me in the eye, and your God is watching you. Did you at any time break anything of the lockdown? Now remember how you answer this. How many of them would do it? How many of them would do it?
Breaking the law is one part of it. The other is lying.
Yes.
About it.
I just think it's been so. I'm sorry, I'm going to rant. I just think it's been. Do you tell me for 1 minute there wasn't some sort of close meeting with Sir Keir Starmer when he was up in, where was it, Durham? You telling me there wasn't a closeness there?
We're not arguing the fact that other people actually broke the law. We're not arguing that. I think it's fair to say the odds are they did.
Yeah, but
the thing is, they were not Prime Minister, and they didn't try to lie about it.
Well, why would the constabulary up here put Sir Keir Starmer, they said, yeah, it's a prosecution, and then someone up top come back and said, no, it isn't.
Right.
What happened there? What happened there? Should there be an investigation with the policemen that were involved? They looked at, and I know I'm ranting, John, but I went off my chest because we're turning into an unfair society. What's good for one is good for the other. Now, those constables or detectives or whoever they are, they've got to be brought in front of a committee. Did you recommend it be prosecuted? Yes. Who stopped you prosecuting them? We want their names. Now, the other thing, what'd you call the lady Gray? Sue Gray.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time she was looking into Boris Johnson, she was looking to get a job with Labour. And according to what I've read, she broke parliamentary protocol or whatever it's called.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's just sickening. I'm actually sick of them all. That's my
But
bit.
you're in Scotland and your former
Yeah.
leader's just been arrested.
He was never your prime minister. Well, it was, I suppose, but
There's a big one there. Someone's put in Twitter that. So this is what I'm just reading. Someone and their husband went to a boat far out in the west area, right, to a marina, and it said, "Don't tell people we're here." And this was during lockdown, so people are looking into that now.
mhm.
You know,
Oh,
and that's come up on Twitter, and people are looking for evidence, etc., etc. Now, she was asked about her husband the other day when she gave her press briefing. She never said, "I am," she says, "I believe I'm innocent." And this says, "What about your husband?" She didn't stick up for him.
Mhm.
She didn't say, "No, he's innocent too." Where's that number 23 bus? Peter Morrell, you're going under it from your own wife too, by the looks of it. Ha ha ha. Right, that's me. Carry on.
All right. My sincere hope is that Boris does disappear for quite a while. Let him go and do his afternoon speaking and make money and keep quiet. Start. And his column that he's got talking about slimming aids, he should continue with that. Keep away from politics. And I think we'll all be happier for it because his own MPs, Peter, only 7 of them voted in favour of him. He just doesn't have a party anymore.
How many abstained?
I don't care about that. 350 people voted against him, which 350 versus 7 is a majority in my.
Of course, it would be a majority. Now, if you don't vote for this, Labour Party members, you will go no further with this. Absolutely no further. Vote with the party. Get him punished. That's what they'll have done.
I think we need to do something on this program. We need to have a device fitted to your arm and then a blood pressure monitor come up on the screen.
I'm on blood pressure tablets as it is, so don't worry about it.
Because I've got visions one day of the top of your head flying off and blood going everywhere.
Well, doesn't politics make you annoyed from all parties?
No,
all parties.
Because I don't let it get me down. I don't let it get me angry.
Well, it's brought up every week. The first question, what do you think of Boris? If I'd been a Liberal, we would have it the same. Let's talk about Cyril Smith. If you don't know people, listen, Cyril Smith.
Come on. Look, this was so long ago, though. It's just ridiculous.
There's a difference between a rant and a reach. No matter how much you talk, Peter, people are not going to change their minds about Boris Johnson.
Okay. It's easy you want to talk about things that you want to talk about. When I mentioned something that was...
Well, no, you can talk about anything you like. I'm just saying it's not really any good. And basically, it's... yeah, okay.
Let's change the topic because all it's doing is making his blood pressure. I mean, it's going glowing bright red now.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm making a coffee. I don't care.
Okay, coffee break.
What happened
into the background?
Peter, what happened exactly 6 years ago today to this minute?
Peter went to make a coffee.
No, it was episode 82. And I broadcast from outside the caravan in Devon.
Oh, wow. That's 82. Yes, you did.
6 years ago.
Yeah. Did it come up as a memory today?
It did, yes. And I've shared it.
Right. Okay.
I
Oh,
just
all
thought
right,
change the
okay, that's
topic
contentious
to
things.
give him chance to calm down.
Yeah, I know. I know. Try and find a topic that's not contentious, though. Good luck with that one, I think.
Who did Burnley buy yesterday?
I'm not sure, John. I do know that Burnley are actually playing Man City in the opening game of the season of the Premiership. I'm quite looking forward to that game because one, it means that we're back, and two, we're playing the best team in the country. Yeah, I think who's the striker who scored the 2 goals that won them the cup? City, that is.
Gundogan.
Yeah, he's going, isn't he?
He's gone.
He's gone. He's gone to that Barcelona side. Yeah. He will always be remembered now for those 2 goals. And he can't top that. And he's 32 and he was a free agent.
So better weather, better money. And why wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about better weather, John. I mean, it's 24 degrees here today.
It's overcast here in the Brummagem area.
A beautiful sunny day.
No, just overcast here.
Yeah. Just had breakfast in the garden. I mean, that's how warm it is.
Right, I'm back. Very warm here as well. I went to a very hot place yesterday. I took a trip up to Ballater. You know where that is?
Not yet.
Where the Queen died, isn't it?
Yeah, that's where the Queen passed away, up in Ballater. And you know what I've seen all over Ballater? You're not going to believe this.
Right.
The Union flag flying everywhere in Ballater. Yeah. Don't see that much in Scotland. So anyway, what I done was I've got these new cards that are actually thermometers. And I went down and done some cold calling in the cafes and some of the hotels. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I was well received. Well received. Yeah.
Good.
So hopefully I'm going to do an hour to 2 hours a week of cold calling in different areas for a while. So it was great.
Yeah.
Did you get to the castle? I bet the security guards wouldn't let you past.
No, we never went that far. The where we live is a wee bit out. So I just went into. I was with my new mentor. He came up and I showed him. It's absolutely beautiful. It's where Queen Victoria's station was when she came in on the railway line. But it got burnt down. So they've rebuilt it. It was absolutely beautiful as a train carriage sitting there. Absolutely wonderful. They've done a good job restoring it. Well worth a visit, or even have a look at it on video. So that was my day yesterday.
Well, my day yesterday was to go for a long walk. First long walk for 2 weeks. And it felt good because the sun was shining, wasn't too hot, and managed to get out and about. And that's what it's all about. Really? Right, how is Celia, John?
She's all right. Not great. She needs to get rid of the soreness and pain, which this is going to take 10 to 15 days. So bit grumpy.
Well, I'm not surprised. Yeah.
But she has had a big lump removed and then quite an area around it. So we had to go and have a dye injected before the operation. So we had to go to the QE, the Queen Elizabeth, the giant new thing that's on the edge of town.
Right.
And we were told, get there early. What they're doing for you is an injection. You'll be in and out, and then you'll come back to us in Solihull. So we We had a quarter to 10 appointment, so we got there at 9:15. Walked through the door, and the place is jam-packed. So we didn't get served early by arriving early, and in fact, it was 20 minutes after the appointment before she went in. And exactly as was said, she was out 3 minutes later. But we went to the nuclear medicine department because what they injected into Celia enabled was a radioactive dye, which meant that the surgeon with a special pair of glasses could see any, I'm not sure what they call them, but like tributaries off the lump to make sure that everything was removed. And I've only been to the QE a couple of times. And this was the new modern QE as opposed to the old buildings, which are still behind. And it was really interesting. And as you approach the main entrance, there's this huge, and I mean huge, nearly 40-foot long fruit stall selling nothing but fresh fruit. Yeah. Inside you got your W.H. Smiths and your Marks and Spencers and that, but this is outside like a traditional market stall. And it's so the opposite, of this ultra modern stainless steel building, and you've got a canvas covered fruit stall outside, which is really popular and very expensive.
Well, you think the rents are pretty heavy for actually being there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when Celia was in Heartlands, which is the other side of the city, the east side of the city, Marks and Spencers is the only shop there. And you needed a mortgage for a sandwich. It was as expensive as that. I mean, Marks and Sparks is expensive in the first place, but wow, there was a premium because it was in the hospital.
Captive audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But quite interestingly, my daughter works at that particular hospital. She doesn't have the finance to afford to buy Marks and Spencer sandwiches. But what she did point out to me is that they have a small bottle which is designed to go with a meal. Yeah. And you can buy, like a combo meal for £5.50. Yeah. So you get a sandwich, a bag of crisps, and a drink. And that drink is £1.10 for 330 millilitres. Yeah. And if you walk the other side of the store, the same drink in a 2-litre bottle is £1.99. So for 89p, you get a huge bottle by comparison.
Yeah. Well, the problem I've got is I don't buy bottles like that because they lose their fizz. So what I do now is I'm actually buying their own labels for diet drinks, their own Max. And I mean, why pay 14 pence per 100 millilitres when you can get it for 7 pence per 100? Now, can you see my background's changed, folk? I'm going to move.
Yes. Describe it to us.
Right. So this is the new Aberdeen harbour, deep water harbour. And we're starting to get cruise ships coming in. And the cruise ships are coming in and they're picking them up and they're taking them around the Aberdeen, showing them. And you can see them walking about lost down Union Street, It's not the brightest of days, but you just see I've seen Norwegians coming into my pub on a Saturday night. They actually come over for Elton John. But this is the new deep harbour, and we're just the city is trying to get people to come in and give them something to do. But they're taking them around the historic areas, yeah? They're taking them to see the cathedral. It's mainly older people that I've seen so far on the cruises. They don't want a wild nightlife. So I think they're doing a good job at taking them around the city to different areas. Can only build up in that, So that is the new Aberdeen deep water harbour. and it's nice to see cruise ships coming into it. But like anything else in the paper, the mourners have started as well. They can't see anything coming into this city without mourning.
Sad.
That's true. Everything that happens everywhere, though, isn't it? You've always got people who deride progress.
Yeah.
Right, this weekend sees Glastonbury.
Oh,
Who's watching on Sunday night?
Not me.
Oh, the site was opened yesterday, and just as it was opening, the sky opened and a deluge 15 minutes long soaked everybody. Glastonbury had started, everybody was wet and muddy and happy, and a traditional start to the Glastonbury weekend. I should be listening on Sunday night because it is Elton John's final or last, or possibly last, British concert. So good reason to actually watch.
he's just done Aberdeen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he came to Aberdeen, and people came from all over to as I say, Norwegian girls I met in the pub after. They come over to see him, you know. So Aberdeen's it's actually a great city if you know where to go. You know, I might have to do some video blogging and promote my city. But one of the problems I've got, they built this new, it's now called P&J Live. That's the name of it, the new name for it, because P&J is the press and journal, and they sponsor the place now. But all the signs are for a place called Teca, T-E-C-A, right? And I can't remember what it's for, but they started with Teca, then the P&J sponsored it, and people get confused with the name Teca and P&J Live. Yeah, so it's quite interesting. The battles on Evening Express with that as well. Can never win, but it's a great place. I've been a couple of times, you know.
Brilliant. All right, I'm going to show you two photographs. Last weekend, just let me hide this first. Hide. Last weekend was the first twinning weekend for 4 years.
Okay.
And we had visitors from Maine in France and from Blabbing in Germany. Which of the two pictures, which is which? Which is the French picture? Which is the German picture? This is just as we were set off to go back on Monday morning.
Oh, the French are on the left.
À gauche, oui, Peter?
Right. Who's the most organised? I would say the Germans are on the left, and the French are on the right.
Right. Okay. The answer is that there were twice as many Germans as French,
Right.
because basically the Germans already have passports, and we know that to get into the UK now, you can't get in with your ID card. You've got to have a full passport. So the Germans were better organised, as Peter said, and they came and they filled. Well, we had a glorious weekend. I mean, the sun shone every single day. We had food. Catering was by local businesses, and we had some really good food, and everybody enjoyed themselves. And on Saturday morning, we went to a recycling centre, which we took everybody to. We said, you've got to see our recycling centre. It's one of the best in the country. So we spent an hour touring and learning about recycling. And then there was events everywhere. And of course, there was our dance on the Sunday night. So it's good to actually get it back, because we've had a break of 3 years, and everybody enjoyed themselves. Everybody had a blast. Everybody did their speeches, giving of presents, everything. Everything went perfectly well. And there's a guy in a purple T-shirt on both
I was
those.
going to ask, are you the one in the purple T-shirt? Because that's the common thing between the photos.
That's right.
And also a gentleman in fawn trousers and white shirt.
Right. Yeah, indeed. He's the town clerk. He organises everything. That's Simon. And the other chap in purple, I'll put the T-shirt on so I'll be recognised. because the Germans left at 8:30 in the morning, the French left at 10:30. So I managed to plenty of walking in and appear in both photographs. Because it's only fair that when they look back on this, that they both know that they're important to the Advisors Training Committee. A lot of hugs went on before people actually left. It's a great networking weekend. Oh, we've got the rocking jocks.
Just to let the viewers see that. Which one am I, folks?
Well, it's bloody obvious which one you are.
There you go.
You're the miserable one at the front. That's the
No. That I go to the front because my singing partner is massive and he's really aware of his big belly. So I go in front to hide it. Trade secret. Oh, so hopefully we'll get on the road with that. The rocking jocks with change.
So when do you go to them, Stephen?
Oh, right. Okay. Then it goes England, Germany, France. So next year we're off to Weiblingen. Weiblingen has a new mayor. Mayenn's got a new mayor. So we're having changes all around. They're bringing new ideas to the table. We're really looking forward to visiting Weiblingen. We don't know the dates yet. We just know it's 2024. And then the year after that, we go to France and then they come back to us. It's just great to actually get together with people. And it is a totally optimistic weekend. There is no politics involved at all. Everybody's just out there to enjoy themselves. And as I said, it's basically time stops on a Friday afternoon. You forget what day it is and you just spend the 4 days in friendship. So thank you to Weiblingen and thank you to Mayen. Okay. All good.
Now, I asked you a question earlier. Who was going to be the new signing for Burnley?
Well, okay.
It's local to here, but he's not local to here. It's a guy called Mr. Company's first signing is going to be Dara O'Shea from West Brom, who's actually a pretty good midfielder for the, I think it's the Republic he plays for.
Mm-hmm.
Republic of Ireland.
Do you know, that's something we need to talk about today. How do you think those people under the water are feeling at the moment?
Well, according to latest reports, they've probably died, unfortunately.
Okay, right. What has the report said?
They've run out of air, basically.
I thought it wasn't until 12.
Well, it's a very sad situation. And I mean, a situation like that, when you go diving so deep, you're at risk, totally at risk. Would you go in the submersible, Peter?
Absolutely. I have been in one, but very low in the water. Went underneath, and I watched I watched. I was sitting in it, and we went underneath the water.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the hatch, and how could I put this? But I was a massive guy, the next one, and I just said to myself, "I'll have you tripped up before you get to that hatch." Do you know, these people are adventurers and they're getting a lot of hard time. Having said that, their contract said 3 times you could die. And I think if there's anything like this before, there must be something that says you're not going to sea with that. There must be some sort of maritime law that prevents that. Because look at the cost of it. And no matter what cost, it would be great to get them up. But that's the price of doing these things.
It is, yeah. Yeah. You know the risks when you set off, and you've got to assume that there's a chance that they will happen. Yeah. And for the rest of us, we sort of go on the emotional roller coaster as soon as the story breaks. Mm-hmm. And we've got the countdown. But you know in your heart of hearts that they're actually getting rescued. getting found is one thing. That's the most
Yeah.
difficult thing. And then getting them out of there.
Yeah.
There isn't a great big crane that can actually lift the submersible off the seabed.
No. I remember there's a thing that comes across in I think it's a Royal Navy. They go to a submarine, they put something down, and the people come out of it and go up. But what they did say, it's more of a, how could I put it? It's not guaranteed. It's more of giving them hope that there's something like that there, you know. But they should have had a transponder of some sort. They could have had a reel that with a float thing up at the top. I would love for a miracle to happen, but this is what these billionaires do. The challenge, explorers. You wouldn't have had people going to Everest, and it's a part and parcel of trying to do something different in the world. You know?
Yeah, the latest report says it can't be found by sonar because it's too small and too deep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even though they can find torpedoes with sonar, it's because they're quite high up in the scale of things.
I mean, as some of you know, I was a tank soldier, and when I look at these tank wars in Ukraine and that just now, I mean, you see these turrets getting blown up. I would have hated to be inside a tank in a war now. Why did it ever choose a tank regiment or a cavalry regiment? Oh, the fear in it, horrible. I suppose you go quick, but very claustrophobic in a tank.
I was watching a program about tanks the other day, and several of the latest things, the bottom and the top half are sealed units.
Yeah.
Completely separate. So the people in the bottom are in a completely different unit from the thing on the top. So even if the thing up the top's blown off, the people in the bottom can still survive.
Now, are you on about a tank?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because a tank in the British Army, you're inside and you're actually in that turret and you have to load it. Well, you have to put the shell in, and then you've got a thing called a bag charge.
But what they're saying is the turret is a sealed complete unit, and the driving unit underneath, the engines, etc., is a separate hemisphere or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the only one that would survive a tank, probably a tank getting hit in the turret, is the driver, because he's in a separate compartment. Having said that, depending on the position, it's actually open underneath inside. So if there was a big flash, chances he would get hit too. Horrible way to go. Horrible way to go. And life's horrible. I mean, I don't hear much of the Ukraine at the moment. It's still going on.
But I think, well, according to the British general who's monitoring it, it's still all probing for a weak spot.
Yeah. By the Ukrainians.
When they find that, when the Ukrainians find the weak spot, they're going to massively attack that.
Yeah.
Now, we played a part in a Ukrainian event yesterday.
Right. You did.
2 British missiles blew up part of the bridge between Crimea and the mainland.
Right. Okay.
Rendering the inability short term for them to move things from Crimea to reinforce the south.
How did you know about that, John?
It's on the BBC, mate.
All right. Okay. So who's we? Is it equipment that we'd support?
Oh, they were British missiles that were used.
Yes.
Long-range missiles.
Yeah.
And the Russians are saying that whilst the missiles were fired by the Ukrainian army, the orders to fire them came from London.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't it just getting worse?
It is. It's until some stage we're going to have a ceasefire, but I think that basically they're getting ready, as John said, for an offensive now, and nothing's going to happen until after that, depending on what happens during the offensive.
And yet we're given all this money, right? And the British forces are at their lowest before, and it's because they're asking the people in the RAF to be non-white. That's one of the recruiting things. Don't non-white people. Oh, they're white. Can't take them just now. All these things are going on, and they're wondering why they're losing their forces, why people don't want to stay in anymore and get out of it. They need to wise up, you know. Anybody can join the forces, you know. And I would suggest we'll have national service. Everybody serves their country like they do in Israel and other places, and say, do your bit. Do your bit for your country.
But they don't need grunts anymore. We don't need cannon fodder. We need intelligent people.
Yeah, but you'll
and fewer of them than we used to in the old days. We might have mandated national service.
You will always need grunts, no matter what. You need troops, because when technology fails, you still need boots on the ground. Now, I don't know what's happening, but every week my screen goes black. Does it happen to you?
No, we can still see you.
I mean, I think during the Afghanistan war or the Iraqi war, the infantry still done full bayonet charge.
Hand to hand, yeah.
Yeah, but well, the run forward with their bayonets, but it was seemingly it was just a guy stood up and said, "Come on, let's go." But the last time was the Falklands War, where it was really forward with bayonets. And I actually met a guy up near Inverness and got chatting to him, and we talked about it, you know. And there's a guy that says, "Whatever happened to the guy that got hit here?" He says, "I'll tell you exactly." He says he lives round the corner, and I was his friend, and I had to leave him on the ground. I says, I won't say his name, but he says, I often wondered how he going. He says he works offshore now. You know, just a name that I remembered because he came from my area, and that was in the Falklands War.
A lad who was in the same class as me at school went to the Falklands War.
Yeah,
he was a medic, seaman.
Yeah,
no particular rank, just there.
Yeah.
And he went to wars, mate, and he went on the liner.
Yeah,
to get him there.
It's amazing how old these people are now. You don't see a lot of the Falklands medals on parade in Aberdeen for sure, you know. And one of my guys is a Falklands War, but he was a stoker. He didn't know what was going on because he was in the bubbles of the ship.
Yeah.
Right.
I found my dad's Suez Canal medal the other day.
I don't know if you've seen the picture when I went to the Remembrance Day. I had a picture of me alone, and I had a medal, and somebody knows my wee bits. "Peter, what did you get that medal for?" Now, it was for Northern Ireland, so everybody that goes there after certain, you get the medal. And I said, that was for getting up early in the morning and bringing guys a cup of tea and a bacon butty every morning. So that was that.
My dad didn't get his Suez medal for until 30 years after the event.
Right.
Because they decided that they should hand out more of them than they did.
Right.
So he got his in the post.
No, it's a shit.
He did do the service. He did go there and everything.
How's your medal? Fling. Yeah. So now I've been back on my bike. I was trying to do 10 mile a day, but
my brother's actually got 3 medals.
Was he?
Yeah, he was a flight lieutenants in volunteer reserve training,
Okay.
and he got a long service medal.
Yeah.
He's retired now because he's over 50, and they don't like you over 50 in the volunteer reserve. But then they've changed their mind now because they're and then he's got the 2 Queen Elizabeth Jubilee medals.
Okay. Well, let me tell you something, John. They're taking people at 58, depending on what they've done.
Yeah, but this was a phase they went through.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I think his business got so busy, it was an easy way out of things for him as well.
I had a friend, right, who, have you ever heard of a negligent discharge?
No.
Right.
I've heard of a dishonourable discharge.
No, a negligent discharge is when you have a rifle,
Yeah.
usually a rifle, right? And
Oh, yeah, and a bullet, and it accidentally
yeah,
shoot. Okay.
fire,
I was thinking of a discharge from the service.
That's called a negligent discharge, okay? With a rifle, and you get fined and everything, blotting your career, okay? Do you know what he had a negligent discharge with? 120 millimeter tank gun. Boom. So he left the army, and this particular guy became a nurse as well. And it got so bad that they actually phoned him many years later and phoned him up, and they said to him, I try not saying him, we need you back. He says, what would you need me back for? He says, we need people like you. He says, well, there's only way, and he said to them, there's only one way I'm coming back. And he says, he's going to come back at the same rank, and it doesn't affect the promotion. And he went back and he joined, and he went to the Gulf War. And he became a sergeant major. And so that's what happened to him. And so that was it. And that's how desperate they were at times. They're phoning people up saying, we need you back in the regiment. And then all of a sudden, a lot of people from Fiji joined the regiment.
All right.
Yeah, because part of the Commonwealth, you see, and any Commonwealth person can join the British Army.
My dad was also in volunteer reserve training for the RAF.
Yeah.
And he became a WO.
Yeah. Okay. So you'll have got a pension.
No. Well, he might have, for all I know, but the only significance of it, I mean, he did it for years. Yeah.
Right.
So Dad was a WO of the 489 Squadron, and my brother was in 489 Squadron, and then my brother actually became CO of the 489 Squadron eventually, but he couldn't be there with Dad because it was a bit of a clash, so Dad retired.
Well,
he was old enough anyway.
One of the problems we had in our regiment, we had a lot of families. The son would join the regiment, and the daughters would marry somebody in the regiment. It was very, very much a regimental family, you know, that was easy recruiting for them. But a lot of the youngsters, they went and joined something else, you know, the Royal Engineers and stuff like that. But yeah, let me tell you about a story about
can I just finish my WO bit?
Certainly.
Unfortunately, my dad died in the QE, funnily enough.
Yeah.
But a lot of the staff at the QE are military. Yeah.
Okay.
And when Dad died, I was actually in the car park outside when they rang me, and I went in, and the nurse wouldn't tell me he'd died, but I knew he'd died. Yeah. You had to see the doctor, who turned out to be a full colonel.
Right.
Yeah. And he asked me about Dad, and when I told him he was a volunteer reserve officer, a warrant officer working with kids and all that sort of thing, and he was in the series, etc.
Yeah,
he was quite interested, and he said to me, "Well, I only saw him 3/4 of an hour before he passed." He said, "And I would have never thought he was going to pass."
Yeah.
Anyway, a week later, I had to go and collect the death certificate.
Mhm.
and you go to an administration area, obviously, and the woman said, "Oh, I'm amazed," and I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "The colonel signed his death certificate himself. Normally, he gives it to a junior to do,
Oh.
and he'd done that out of respect for Dad because of Dad's service."
Do you know, one of the things that I see on the internet often, they'll put on and they say, we've got an old soldier who's passed away. He was a member of this regiment, and he had nobody left in his family. Nobody. Could you help? And boy, they turn up in their hundreds sometimes with a
It
nuclear.
was a 96-year-old, and I know it was 96, that died in London. In do they call it intestate when there's nothing else?
Yeah.
And over 400 people came to his funeral, and they had all the flags and a band and everything.
Yeah. Once a soldier, always a soldier. We tend to, I mean, that's one thing about Facebook. So our guys tend to get a piper down there. And the last one I went to was down in Dundee. I took a trip down to Dundee. And so sad occasions happens too often just recently. But my saddest, I've maybe told you, the saddest one was, you're on about a pension. This guy, he was found in a tent in a quarry in Inverness. He was a skeleton. He was estranged from his family, and they found who he was. And do you know something, John? He'd been in for 22 years, and he never claimed his pension. So his family got his pension. You know, it's so sad, so sad. Nobody knew where he was. You know, but he was lying in it. He must have had a heart attack or something, and that was him. So sad.
There's a man living in a tent in the middle of the dual carriageway in South Birmingham, quite near the hospital, funnily enough, that I mentioned, not the QE, the other one. And he's ex-army.
Yeah.
And he just has nowhere to go, according to the interview with him.
Well, here's something. I spoke to many years ago, my bank manager. I took him out. I says, come on out a run with me. And he came out with me, bank manager. And always remember, I showed him how to do a wash. He was actually better, different. And I put him, and the woman said to me, I put him in the loft to do a wash. I said, do this, do that. And she said to me, who's that? I says, oh, it's my bank manager. He works for me now. But later on, as we got to know each other, he found out I was a soldier. Do you know what he said? Peter, he's somebody tells you now. He says, if I knew you were a soldier, I might not have given you the money, because a lot of them are notorious for not being able to handle some of them. And that's why a lot of them, after being in the army, people probably don't know this, but you couldn't even change a light bulb in the barracks. That had to be done by a civvy worker. Of things we just didn't do. And that's what happens with a lot of the soldiers once they're on their own. You were really looked after all your life, and then some of them can't cope. I coped. But when I lost everything and went down and lived in a porta cabin for a year, it was so easy. In fact, I enjoyed it. I was 7 days away from the streets. Yeah.
Right, just slight change of subject. Then the Bank of England meets today. The rate of interest has gone up 12 times in the last 12 times they've met. The odds are that it will go up again. And that affects 1.2 million people who in the next 18 months will see the end of their fixed rate mortgage contract. And I find it very difficult to get a new mortgage contract at a fixed rate.
Yeah.
It's going to cost millions of ordinary people a lot of money, a lot of heartache.
Well, I was listening to the news, GB News, which has been going for no year, and it's outperforming Sky. I just thought I'd add that bit. Now, what they were saying, a woman phoned in, she says, I actually got a renewal. It's not all bad news. She says, I've just been given a 4.5% mortgage, fixed, you know? So you've got to shop around. But, folks, if you're young enough to listen to this, we had 15% mortgages.
I can remember my mortgage at 15%.
And how did it affect
A
you?
long time ago. It was about 40 years ago, but yeah, I can remember my mortgage at 15%.
And what do you remember about that at the time?
I lived in a 2-bed semi, that I bought for 15 and sold for 20 and thought I'd made a fortune.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something, Adam. You've just made me think. I had two relatives who both passed away in their 50s. And I always remember they bought a house and that. And when it came, do you know what they'd done immediately that night? Guess what they'd done? They both stopped smoking. They were both heavy smokers. Heavy. And I think that's why they passed away, actually. And they stopped overnight. That's how bad it was. I always remember that. I don't know what cigarette, but they were about, I don't know what you can smoke in a day, probably 40 or 60, because they were chain smokers. And that's what they done. And I thought, oh, wow, that certainly sorted your smoking habit out. Yeah. So, but no, so do you think we've had it good for too long, do you think?
Sorry, can you say that again, Peter?
Do you think we've had it too good for too long, the interest rate?
I think that I agreed that Gordon Brown should have set the bank independent, and they set the rate, and the government had nothing to do with it. But it is a blunt instrument to actually keep putting the interest rate up to stop the economy overheating. I'm not convinced that it works.
There's an awful lot of people who think we could spend our way out of this situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, have your savings monies gone up? The interest rate on your savings? Have they?
What savings?
The money you keep in the bank for an emergency, Peter. That's savings.
I don't have any. It's called a credit line.
We've talked about bad things.
Yeah.
Has your gas and electric bill gone down?
Sheila knows about that. She reminds me. Does that mean you're giving me more money? Yeah. Do you know, I'm one of these guys that
Mine has gone down from £349 a month
to
£249 a month.
Yeah.
Good.
I'll tell you what I done the other day. I'm going to get, I told you I'm going to try and get a fixed line in here. I don't know why. I hope it'll be better for some reason. But I tried to cancel my my other broadband. And they said to me, if you cancel it, we'll have to come and we've got to cut your phone line up. Basically, shut your phone down for a while. I says, shut my business phone. I says, I'll keep the £20 a month at the moment because I just can't afford to my phone not be on for half an hour. And then they say, oh, we've got a problem. It'll be 4 days or something like that. I just can't afford it just now. I'd rather pay £20, you know, and put it in an old lady's bill. That's a joke, folks.
Yeah, I got that bit, Peter. All right, okay. Now
I pay £4.59 a month plus VAT. Yeah, and my landline is diverted to my mobile.
Yeah.
So I've still got the landline I've had for 40 years.
Yeah.
Well, 38 years. And if people dial that, it rings on my mobile.
Right.
And that is a lot cheaper than the £28 a month I was paying to BT.
Imagine for a moment that you are a billionaire, that you run multinational companies, that you've got more money than you can spend, and you're looking to do something different, and you're Elon Musk, and you say to Mark Zuckerberg, I challenge you to a cage fight. And because they're all grand lads, Mark Zuckerberg says, yes.
Yeah.
No, there's going to be a cage fight between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, which is just, it's mad, for want of a better phrase.
You get all these sorts of challenges. It's great until somebody's killed by mistake because they're not professional. There's just so many things happening in this world, you know, and I don't know. People, billionaires, and that. I'm so glad I'm out, kind of doing some work now, because you get bored when you've got everything in place, you know. I brought on a mentor, for instance, and I just can't believe what I've done with the business this year. In a 5-month period, I have done about 6 times more in one area than I did for the whole year last year.
Right.
You know,
if
I can keep someone on at the end of the winter and just keep pushing. So yeah, it's given me a new thing. Can I just tell you, I'm sitting in my office here, right? And the speed for the phone is I won't show you. It's, remember, I'm sitting outside in my office, 37.1 download and 18.5 uploads sitting here just now. Is that good?
That's good. That's enough for what we're doing.
Moderately good.
But once I get my plunker in here, I'll be boom! Yes.
Right. The latest in our ultra-fast broadband saga is that the team came out with the bracket that they could put on top of the telegraph pole.
Yeah.
And then lay a cable down to the house. That was the idea. But the thing is, telegraph pole's got electric wires on it, so it needed a special team to come out and do it with the gloves and the training and everything. So, but it's got to be line of sight. So what we've got is we've got a house between us.
Yes.
And it can't be line of sight. So there's no way that they can just string a cable across and it work.
Right.
So the question, what happens next, is basically they dig a channel, cable goes in the channel. But the people who dig the channel are not the same guys who actually climb the pole.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for a team of diggers to come along. And apparently there are more people who climb poles than dig. So we could be in for quite a wait.
Right. So have you to pay any of that costs for getting the digging done?
No.
Okay. That's exactly what we had. It was a team that came and done the cable, and then the guy turned up and basically handed us a router from the firm that I use, and that was it.
Yeah. Well, if I move off Virgin, which is a possibility because it is quite expensive, I already have a channel across the garden and down behind the wall. And the wall is loose bricks, so as they can pull the loose bricks out and feed there. And the box with the master of all the cables in is in the verge in front of next door's house. So if I decide to go there and they can't bring it across the front of the neighbours, it shouldn't take much effort to be able to bring it into the house from the box in the ground.
Very good.
Good. Okay, John, it's over to you.
It's that time to disappear. So to our people in Cambridge or Royston, wherever it is, I know it's over that way anyway, it's goodbye from us. We'll be here next week. And it's goodbye from the three of us. We'll be here same time, same place next week. Bye. Shoes, all that stuff.
Bye.